There is a version of customer service that exists in theory, a polite exchange between a reasonable human being and a knowledgeable professional, resulting in a mutually satisfying resolution. And then there is what actually happens. What you are about to witness is a collection of 27 real complaints that forced support teams, retail workers, and help desk professionals to quietly question every life decision that led them to that moment. These are not misunderstandings. These are not language barriers. These are fully confident adults armed with the unshakable belief that reality owes them a refund. Buckle up, your faith in common sense will not survive this list intact. Number 1. A customer walks into a coffee shop, orders a hot latte, receives a hot latte, takes one sip, and immediately flags down the barista to lodge a formal complaint. The problem? The coffee was hot. Not scalding. Not irresponsibly hot. Just hot in the way that hot beverages have been hot since fire was invented. The complaint, filed with complete sincerity, read, "My drink was too warm." The temperature listed on the menu? Hot. The word the customer used when ordering? Hot. Somewhere between the order counter and the first sip, the laws of thermodynamics apparently became a customer service failure. The barista, to their eternal credit, did not laugh. Visibly. Number 2. A man purchases a 12-pack of bottled water from a grocery store, drives it home, and later calls the store's helpline to report that the water, and this is a direct quote, tasted like nothing. He wanted to know what they were going to do about it. The store, which sold water, was apparently expected to apologize that their water did not taste like something other than water. The representative on the phone confirmed gently that water is famously flavorless. This was not accepted as an answer. A supervisor was requested. The supervisor also confirmed that water tastes like water. This was escalating into a philosophical crisis in real time. Number 3. A hotel guest checked into a room, settled in for the night, and the following morning submitted a complaint that the sun had risen too early and shined through the curtains, disrupting their sleep. The hotel in their feedback form was asked to do something about the morning light. The hotel did have blackout curtains installed in the room, hanging directly on the window untouched. The curtains had not been drawn. The sun, operating on a 4.5 billion year schedule, was not going to reschedule on the basis of a TripAdvisor complaint. And somehow we're still warming up. Number 4. A woman called a telecommunications company to complain that her phone was dying too quickly. Reasonable complaint, perhaps a battery issue. The technician asked how often she charged it. She said she didn't like to charge it. It seemed bad for the battery to always be plugged in. Fair enough. There is some truth to that in lithium-ion philosophy. However, she was also using her phone for an average of 9 hours a day on full brightness, GPS running continuously, with 17 apps open in the background. She had, in essence, built a perfect machine for draining a battery and was now furious that the battery was drained. The technician walked her through the settings. She asked if they could just make the battery last longer without charging. Number 5. A restaurant received a written complaint, an actual letter, mailed in an envelope, from a diner who had ordered the soup of the day, been told the soup of the day was tomato bisque, and was now furious because tomato bisque had been the soup of the day the last 3 times they visited. The complaint argued that if it was always tomato bisque, it couldn't technically be called the soup of the day, because that implies variety. This is admittedly almost a coherent argument. Almost. The restaurant's response, also mailed, noted that it was the soup of that particular day. Every day has a soup. That day's soup was tomato bisque. The customer wrote back. This became a correspondence. Number 6. A gym member filed a formal complaint with the front desk stating that the gym was too full of people exercising. She had arrived at 6 p.m. on a Monday, the single most universally crowded time in the history of gyms, and found that other people were also there, also exercising. The complaint requested that the gym limit the number of people who come in at that time. She was informed that the gym could not legally restrict access to paying members based on their inconvenience to other paying members. She upgraded her complaint to request a quiet hour. Be honest, have you ever encountered someone this magnificently unaware of how a gym works? Number 7. An airline received a complaint from a passenger who was furious that their flight had experienced turbulence. Not dangerous turbulence, not extreme turbulence. The ordinary, mild atmospheric jostling that occurs when a metal cylinder travels at 500 miles per hour through an ocean of air. The complaint stated that the turbulence ruined the experience and asked what the airline planned to do to prevent this in the future. The airline, which does not control the atmosphere, responded with sincere condolences and a $15 voucher. The passenger felt this was insufficient. The passenger was not wrong about that, at least, though perhaps for entirely different reasons. Number 8. A tech support team received a ticket from a user who could not figure out why their laptop kept shutting down unexpectedly. The team ran diagnostic remotely. The laptop was overheating. The reason it was overheating? It was being used on a thick blanket, vents completely covered, in a warm room, while also running video editing software. The user had created what engineers would technically describe as a thermal nightmare. When the technician explained that laptops need airflow, the user asked why that wasn't mentioned in the instructions. It was. Page 4. With a diagram. Number 9. A bookstore employee received a complaint from a customer who was upset that a book they purchased contained too many words. This was not a metaphor. The customer had purchased a 600-page historical novel, read approximately 30 pages, and determined that the author had been unnecessarily wordy. They wanted a refund on the basis that the book was more than expected. The employee, who had presumably read books before, confirmed that the page count was listed on the back cover. The customer said they hadn't thought to check that. The refund policy required a reason. Too many words was not a listed option. A manager had to be involved. This next one defies logic. Number 10. A man contacted a supermarket's customer service line to complain that the self-checkout machine had made him scan his own groceries. This is, to be clear, the entire function of a self-checkout machine, a function announced in its name, which contains the word self. The customer argued that it was a lot of work and that he felt the store should provide assistance. There were staff checkout lanes, open, nearby, with actual human beings ready to scan his groceries. He had chosen the self-checkout lane. He had then objected to the self part. The representative, maintaining a composure that deserved some kind of award, explained the concept. The customer felt the name was misleading. Number 11. A hotel spa received a complaint that the massage had been too relaxing and that the client had fallen asleep during the session, missing parts of the experience they had paid for. The complaint requested either a partial refund or a second massage to cover the portions they had slept through. The spa noted with considerable restraint that falling asleep during a massage is generally considered the highest possible compliment to the masseuse. It means it worked exceptionally well. The client did not see it this way. The client saw it as a service failure. Would you like to be the manager receiving that complaint on a Tuesday? Number 12. A passenger on a cruise ship complained that the ocean was too visible from their balcony cabin and that the constant sight of open water was making them anxious. They had booked an ocean view room with a balcony on a ship in the middle of the ocean. The complaint asked whether an interior room could be arranged at the ocean view price, since they were no longer enjoying the ocean view. The customer service team, to their credit, did manage to arrange a room swap. The passenger then complained the interior room was too small. The ocean, presumably, was still out there, unbothered. Number 13. A woman called a furniture company to complain that her flat-pack desk was missing pieces. A technician was arranged to come to her home and assess the situation. Upon arrival, the technician found that the desk was fully assembled, beautifully, correctly assembled. The missing pieces, it turned out, were the leftover screws and bolts that flat-pack furniture always includes as extras, as any person who has assembled flat-pack furniture knows. The woman had assumed that because pieces remained in the bag, the assembly was incomplete. The desk was structurally sound. She asked what the extra pieces were for. For the next time, said the technician. This was not the right answer, but it was a brave one. Number 14. A man complained to his internet service provider that his internet was too slow in his backyard. The router, he was told, was inside his house. He acknowledged this. He was asked how far from the house his backyard extended. He said approximately 300 feet. He had expected his wireless router, which has a range of roughly 100 feet under ideal conditions, to penetrate the walls of his house and then cover 300 additional feet of open air at full speed. The technician explained the physics. The man asked if this was a known limitation. Yes, said the technician, since Wi-Fi was invented. A range extender was suggested. The man wanted to know if the ISP would pay for it. Number 15. A clothing store received a complaint from a customer who had purchased a white blouse, worn it, spilled red wine on it, washed it without proper treatment, and found that the stain remained. The complaint asked for a replacement blouse on the grounds that the fabric was stain retentive. The customer service team offered a discount on future purchases. The customer escalated to a manager. The manager confirmed that white fabric, when stained with red wine and then washed without stain remover, will remain stained. This is not a manufacturing defect. This is fabric behaving as fabric has behaved since fabric existed. The customer requested corporate's contact information. Corporate received the letter. Corporate had thoughts. Number 16. A parent called a toy store's helpline because a toy they had purchased for their child was broken. Understandable. A natural complaint. A replacement was arranged. The parent then mentioned casually that the toy had broken because the child had thrown it down a staircase to see if it would bounce. It had not bounced. The replacement, the parent insisted, should be more resistant to staircase testing. The helpline representative confirmed that no toy is designed to survive a deliberate staircase throw. The parent felt that was a design oversight. Survives being hurled downstairs by a 7-year-old is not currently a consumer protection standard. Perhaps it should be. That's not a rhetorical question. That might actually be a product category. Number 17. A man complained to his local council that the park near his home was too natural and that the presence of birds, insects, and uneven ground was making it an unpleasant place to walk. He requested that the council pave the park over and remove the wildlife. The park was a nature reserve. Listed. legally protected, home to several protected species. The council's response was measured and thorough. The man replied that he paid his taxes. The council replied that he did indeed. The birds remained. The park remained. The man presumably remained unhappy, and somehow we are only at number 17. Number 18. A customer contacted a candle company to report that their scented candle, marketed as Ocean Breeze, did not smell exactly like the ocean. The customer had been to the ocean. The ocean, they reported, smelled of salt, seaweed, and fish. The candle smelled of a clean, light, aquatic fragrance. The customer felt they had been misled. The candle company replied that Ocean Breeze is a fragrance concept, not a documentary recreation of a specific coastal environment. The customer asked which ocean it was based on. Nobody knows. Nobody has ever known. Ocean Breeze as a concept has existed in candle marketing for decades without a specific body of water being cited. This was apparently not satisfying. Number 19. A man walked into a pharmacy and complained that the medicine he had purchased had not worked. The pharmacist asked how long he had taken it. He said he hadn't taken it yet because he was waiting to feel better first. He had purchased medication and was not taking it because he wanted to see if he would recover without needing to take it, but he was complaining that it hadn't worked. The medication, sitting unopened on his counter at home, had indeed failed to cure him. The pharmacist paused for what witnesses described as a long, searching moment. Instructions for use were then reviewed in considerable detail. Number 20. A woman submitted a formal complaint to an airline claiming that the pilot had spoken too much during the flight. She found the in-flight announcements, safety briefing, welcome message, altitude and weather updates, descent notification excessive. She calculated that the pilot had spoken for approximately 6 minutes across a 4-hour flight. She wanted a partial refund for the disruption to her reading. The airline did not issue a partial refund for pilot announcements. Some of those announcements are federally required. The woman was not aware of this. She is now. Several customer service representatives also learned things about federal aviation communication requirements that day. Number 21. A man called a construction company to complain that the wall they had built was too wall-like. He had wanted something that divided a space while still feeling open. He had ordered a wall, a standard solid wall. He received a standard solid wall. He now felt it created too much separation. He asked if they could take out the middle of it. What he was describing was a doorway. He was later quoted for a doorway installation. He complained that it was not included in the original wall price. At this point, reality itself is bending slightly. But we are not done, not even close. Number 22. A woman contacted a subscription box company to cancel her subscription and request a refund on the grounds that she had received too many items. She had subscribed to a monthly box. The box contained items, monthly, as advertised. 8 months later, she had 8 boxes of items and felt she now had too much stuff. She did not want the items. She wanted the money she had voluntarily spent on items she had received and kept. The refund was not issued. She disputed the charge with her bank for all 8 months. The bank sided with the company. She left a 1-star review stating the company sends too much. They do, in fact, send exactly as much as they promised to send. This is not the scandal she believes it to be. Number 23. A man filed a complaint with the National Park Service stating that a mountain he had climbed was harder than expected. He had done no research. He had not checked the trail rating. He had not read the signs at the trailhead. He had simply begun walking up a mountain because it was there and found, several hours later, that it was steep, rocky, and physically demanding in the way that mountains are. The complaint requested that the park add more steps to make the ascent easier. The mountain is approximately 4,000 feet above sea level. The Park Service replied with extreme professionalism and did not at any point in their written response mention that the mountain predates the complaint by roughly 60 million years. Number 24. A customer at a seafood restaurant complained that their fish tasted too fishy. This is either the most coherent complaint on this list or the least, depending entirely on your philosophy. On one hand, a fresh, well-prepared piece of fish should not have an overwhelmingly strong taste. On the other hand, this person ordered fish at a fish restaurant on a menu that said fresh catch of the day, and their complaint was that it tasted like the animal it came from. The chef was consulted. The chef confirmed the fish was fresh, properly prepared, and cooked to standard. The customer asked if there was a less fishy fish. There were options. None of them were fish. Number 25. A landlord, not a tenant, a landlord, called a property management company to complain that his tenants were using too much electricity. Investigation revealed the tenants were using a completely standard amount of electricity for a household their size. The landlord felt this was excessive. He asked if there was a way to cap their electricity usage remotely, not legally or practically. He then asked if the company could speak to the tenants about being more mindful. The tenants were paying their utility bills, in full, on time. The property management company declined to intervene in legal electricity usage by paying residents. The landlord requested a second opinion. The second opinion was the same. Number 26. A woman submitted a product complaint stating that her blender was too loud. Blenders are loud. This is a universal, non-negotiable truth of blender ownership. The complaint escalated to a request that the company design a quieter motor. The engineering team was perhaps jokingly consulted. The quiet motors that exist for blending are available in high-end silent blenders costing several $100s. She had purchased a $40 blender. When this information was relayed, she argued that the price should not determine noise levels. The engineering team, presumably, had something to say about that. It was not included in the report, but the suggestion that sound physics should not apply based on purchase price is a worldview that deserves to be studied in a university somewhere. Number 27. And here we are. The finale. A man contacted the corporate offices of a major supermarket chain to submit a formal written complaint, 12 pages, printed, signed, with attachments, arguing that gravity, as experienced in the store, was causing his cart to roll downhill in the parking lot. He wanted the store to address the slope. The parking lot, he acknowledged, was on a slight incline. The slope was not created by the supermarket. It predated the supermarket by geological time. It was in fact not even a steep slope. It was a parking lot on a mildly inclined piece of land. He had documentation. He had photographs. He had measurements. He had spent more time and energy building this complaint than the entire parking lot gradient had ever cost him in cart inconvenience. And he wanted compensation. The store sent him a $50 gift card. He wrote back asking what it was for, because he hadn't received a formal acknowledgement of his complaint. They sent a formal letter. He was satisfied. The parking lot slope remains. If there is a single lesson buried somewhere in all of that, between the fishy fish and the too loud blender and the man at war with a parking lot, it is this. Entitlement is not loudness. It is not aggression. Often, it is simply a very confident unawareness that the world was not personally assembled for your preferences, that physics is not a customer-facing policy, and that sometimes the issue is not the mountain, the ocean, the candle, the soup, or the water. Sometimes it is the person holding the complaint form. Common sense, it turns out, is a resource that exists in genuinely finite supply, and customer service teams around the world are the ones managing the shortage. Now the real question, which one of these 27 broke you the most? Drop your answer in the comments, or better yet, share your own support horror story, because something tells me this list has barely scratched the surface of what's out there. If this somehow restored your faith in humanity, or completely destroyed what remained of it, hit like, subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.